Hello, I'm Betty Hollister, Public Information Manager with the Regional Flood Control District, and welcome to another edition of the Flood Channel. Everyone's heard the expression, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. That's certainly not the case with Austin, but sometimes it is hard to change old habits. But when those old habits can hurt the environment, then it's time to learn some new tricks. So let's find out what's coming up on today's Flood Channel show.
Hi, I'm Carrie Ann Mokopathai, and with the help of my friend Kip, I'll show you some of those good habits to help protect the valley's water supply. And our Citizens Advisory Committee heads to the field to go with the flow down the Duck Creek Watershed. And construction heats up in North Las Vegas.
All that and some flood facts from our Citizens Advisory Committee coming up on this edition of the Flood Channel. Now that spring has sprung, a lot of us are inspired to do some cleaning around the house. But before you toss that old paint and other chemicals in the trash, let's learn some new habits from Carrie Ann and Kip about protecting the environment.
Thanks, Betty. Here at the district, our main mission is to cut down the chances of flooding. But since stormwater passes through our network without being treated, the environment is also top of mind. Our Stormwater Quality Management Committee is a group whose goal is to keep Lake Mead clean. It's a tough job, so let's talk to a committee member to find out how it's going.
The Stormwater Quality Management Committee is a community partnership that was created to develop programs and ensure compliance under the municipal separate storm sewer system. The committee consists of representatives from each of the local governmental agencies, the City of Henderson, City of North Las Vegas, City of Las Vegas, and Clark County, as well as the Regional Flood Control District. Well, we're all in the valley together, and we can't do the job individually as individual entities. So it's important that we get together as a committee and make sure that the programs that we develop work for the entire valley. The programs that the committee has developed include street sweeping, regular inspections of construction sites and industrial facilities. It includes public outreach. One of the things that has happened with public outreach at this time is the Stormwater Inlet Marking Program. This program was developed to put plaques on the existing drop inlets throughout the Las Vegas Valley to put out the message that whatever pollution gets into the stormwater system is discharged to the Las Vegas Wash and ultimately to Lake Mead. It is important to get this message out there because Lake Mead is our sole source of drinking water, or 90% of our drinking water in the Las Vegas Valley, and we want to ensure that the quality of that drinking water is high. Each of the entities do the same thing. We all conduct our street sweeping at an interval of about 30 days or once every month. We have water monitoring programs on the Las Vegas Wash. We all share the Las Vegas Wash as the one discharge point for the valley. So as a committee, we've set up consistent points along the Las Vegas Wash to get consistent monitoring of pollutants in the wash. The committee meets once a month, and we discuss the issues and the programs that we have out there, including the water monitoring. We take a look at the data, and we can adjust our programs accordingly to help reduce the pollutants that are entering the wash and ultimately Lake Mead.
There's more than 14,000 plaques marking storm drains all around the valley. They say don't pollute drains to Lake Mead. They're supposed to remind people that stormwater is not treated before it reaches Lake Mead. And no one knows more about that than my friend Kip. He'll take us on a journey through our flood control network to find out where the water goes.
Thanks, Carrie Ann. Now that warm weather is here, you may decide to fertilize your lawn. You know, green it up a bit. Kill a few of those bugs. But if you overdo it, and overwater, fertilizer and chemicals can run off your yard, down the street, and down into underground storm drains. But where does it go from there? Come on, let's see. Let's start on the west side of the valley, at West Charleston and 215. The water travels east, then north, flowing through the natural canyons of the Badlands Golf Course, and comes to rest for a while at the Angel Park Detention Basin, then travels north past the Betty Wilson Soccer Complex at Lake Mead and Buffalo. From here, our water continues past the high school and drains through a series of detention basins in the Tenaya and Gowan area. From there, the water flows underground to North Las Vegas, where it joins the western tributary of the Las Vegas Wash near Camino del Norte. So far, we've gone about 17 miles on our water journey. From where the wash is joined in North Las Vegas, the water flows southeast through the Cheyenne Peaking Basin near Cheyenne and Civic Center, and continues southeast through the Desert Roads Golf Course. Then it's a big downhill drop across the east side of the valley, where the water eventually winds through the Wetlands Park near the Silver Bowl, and then it's on to Lake Mead, an amazing 42 miles from where we started. Well, Carrie Ann, that's the journey of where water goes.
Now let's get people at home to help keep my water clean.
That's right, Kip. And coming up after the break, I'll look at what we can do at home to clean up our community. Stay right there.
At a time when Southern Nevada needs to be water smart, did you know taking your car to a car wash saves not only gallons of water, but also traps all that dirt and other nasty pollutants? Washing your car in the driveway allows grease, soap, and oil to flow down the street into storm drains and onto Lake Mead, our primary source for drinking water. Do your part, wash smart, a clean car and a cleaner environment. This message brought to you by the Stormwater Quality Management Committee, a program of the Regional Flood Control District.
See that clogged storm drain? Something like that, when it rains, will cause water to back up and flood our streets. Hello, Regional Flood Control District. I'd like to report a clogged storm drain. City and county employees are working hard to keep your storm drains clean. If you spot a clogged storm drain, call and report it.
Help protect the environment by keeping our drains and washes clean. Report clogged storm drains by calling 685-0000.
I'm Aljan Koviak. I'm a project engineer too with the City of Henderson, and you're watching the Flood Channel.
Don't press your luck. Steer clear of floodwater.
Welcome back. Around the house, there's a lot of chores you don't think twice about. Sprucing up the yard, washing the car, or cleaning out the garage may seem like little things, but those little things can add up to have a big impact on our environment. So let's hear some tips on how to be environmentally savvy. Did you know that just 1 quart of oil will contaminate up to 250,000 gallons of water, and that yard chemicals and fertilizers can wash into storm drains and reduce the oxygen in the water needed for aquatic life at Lake Mead? Things like pool chemicals, old paint, and used oil should be taken to Republic Service disposal sites. They accept all kinds of household hazardous waste. Check out lvstormwater.com for details. Also with paint, you can buy a hardening agent from the hardware store. Once you mix the two together, the paint hardens and can be thrown away in the trash. Try environmentally friendly pesticides, chemicals, and fertilizers. Also make sure to follow the manufacturer's directions and don't overwater. Using commercial car washes can prevent solvents, detergents, and chemicals from washing down driveways and through storm drains. Then it eventually makes its way to Lake Mead. Always drain the swimming pool through the drainage port located in your front yard. Be sure to clean up after your pet.
Protecting the environment is very important. When it rains in the Las Vegas Valley, the runoff ultimately drains to Lake Mead. Along the way, the water can pick up lots of pollutants and other contaminants that are on the ground surface. And we have found that nearly 50% of our residents aren't aware that this dirty water is not treated when it goes into Lake Mead. It seems like many of our residents are not aware of how to properly dispose of their garbage, especially the larger items that may not be picked up easily on the curb. So instead they just kind of bundle them up, haul them out into the desert, dump them into a wash or low area and think, out of sight, out of mind, what could be the harm? We've seen all kinds of things in the washes: mattresses, lawn trimmings, branches, even household hazardous waste, shopping carts. And these are not only an eyesore and bad for the environment in the desert, but when it rains, the water can pick up this debris, carry it downstream into the washes, clog our storm drain systems and cause flooding, which is obviously very bad for the community. But also there's many times lots of contaminants such as oils, chemicals, pesticides, fertilizers that are on these things that get carried in the water to Las Vegas Wash and to the lake. Residents should properly dispose of all of their garbage, take it to a dump, take it to the one of the many transfer stations located around the valley. Also, if you see somebody dumping in the desert, then report it. It's illegal, so it's not good for the environment, and that's why it's illegal.
Let's all keep in mind the importance of our valley's water supply and the role we play in keeping that water clean. The Conservation District of Southern Nevada holds an annual poster contest to teach kids that same message. Let's check in with the winner out of nearly 500 entries.
First, I didn't want to join because I didn't want to get disappointed in the end, but then my teacher told me, you can do it, so I tried it, and then I was very surprised when I looked in the website and then my poster was posted up first.
This is going to be their environment when they get older, and the pollution in the flood channels is something they can relate to, and it's part of our environmental study, and the kids really enjoy doing it, and then we challenge them to come up with solutions to the problem and how they can help prevent pollution in the storm drains. The challenge was for the students to see the effect of it, and then for them to come up with plans, things that they can do in their home, things that their parents and their friends can do to help prevent things like this happening.
Well, I learned that there are lots of simple ways and to just prevent the stormwater pollution going to Lake Mead, and then even I as a student can do it. So I guess everyone can do it too. It's pretty easy. You can just turn off the faucet when you don't need it, and then you can just check your car or your parents' car in case for oil leaks or anything like that. Because everything that we throw, litter, everything will end up in Lake Mead, and Lake Mead is our water source, so we need to protect it.
It is so important that we do teach these kids to do this, because we can't depend on them learning anything anywhere else. In the school, we try to teach them the life skills, and this is a life skill, and this is something that they're the ones that are going to recycle. They're the ones that's going to take care of the earth for themselves and their children. So it is very important that we do that in any way that we can in the school. You know, it's different than my generation per se, when it wasn't, you know, we didn't learn a lot about the environment in school. But now, when we teach them young to recycle, that's what they think of at home. Then they instill that in their parents when they go home. When we teach the kids not to throw trash on the ground, they go outside of our school, they don't throw trash on the ground. It's very important that we catch this early and that we give our students grade level appropriate assignments and studies to help them to understand how important it is in their life.
We all have a responsibility to take care of our planet and preserve its beauty and resources for future generations. Betty?
Thanks, Carrie Ann, and we'll be back with more on the Flood Channel right after this.
Springtime, when thoughts turn to cleaning? Hey, it's great you want to clean out your garage. Just be careful where you dispose of things like old paint, batteries, pesticides, weed killer, and other potentially dangerous chemicals. Many things can be left out on recycling day. However, dangerous pollutants must go to a recycling center for proper disposal. Never dump into a storm drain. It may end up polluting Lake Mead, our primary source of drinking water. Learn more at lvstormwater.com. Brought to you by the Clark County Regional Flood Control District.
Hey Nevada, a new battle is born. Take pride in America. This is your land, so lend a hand. To learn more, visit takepride.gov.
To volunteer in Nevada, visit getoutdoorsnevada.org, a program brought to you by the Southern Nevada Agency Partnership and UNLV.
Hi, I'm Andrew Trelease with the Flood Control District, and you're watching the Flood Channel.
Welcome back to the Flood Channel. Our Citizens Advisory Committee recently took a trip down the Duck Creek Watershed. Let's tag along and find out what they learned.
So the purpose of the tour, we're going to tour this Duck Creek. It's a natural wash. We're going to go right now, and let's go. We're going to take I-15 south to 215 west, get off at Russell. We have two advisory committees. One's the citizens and one's the technical advisory. The citizen looks at what we're doing and makes a recommendation to our board of directors as to what projects should be funded, our planning, our stormwater issues, everything else. And they're the voice of the citizens of the community. And that's why it's important for us to have a citizens advisory committee to give us that pulse of the community.
We vote on a lot of millions and millions every month that we meet. And these tours are excellent because we see what we voted on. We go and see either developed detention basins or projects that are in the works or projects that are vacant land but are going to be completed. So we have an overall view exactly of what it is, the work that we do.
We have always done tours with the Citizens Advisory Committee on an annual basis. And we finally decided right now it's time for everybody to know their watershed. And this is one of the 9 major watersheds that cross the Las Vegas Valley. And so we picked Duck Creek first. We're starting out here on the west side of town, working our way 20 plus miles to the east side of town and tracking Duck Creek and the improvements we made and educating everybody on the stormwater issues.
I found being on the CAC committee for the last 2.5 years to be extremely educational and valuable to me as a resident. I also feel that in the long haul, that my curve that I have as a Boulder City resident and a Clark County resident, that I'm going to be able to be helpful to our neighboring communities. This is my second tour that I've taken, and I'm finding that this watershed process starts way, way, way up into the valley, and how it affects Lake Mead is very educational and helpful for me to be a participant in what decisions are being made for the flood control district.
This is Upper Duck Creek Detention Basin. This is the watershed from the mountains that all drain to this location. It was more economical for Mountain's Edge to build this basin and greatly reduce the flows through their property and the infrastructure, the flood control infrastructure they needed through their property. But this is where Duck Creek originates. This is where Duck Creek has always originated. And that you'll see on the aerials in the old 1950s what it looked like back then and how our master plan overlays the existing flow path through this whole area.
The reason that I became involved in flood control was because many years ago in the early 80s, where I live was devastated with floods several times a year and for a couple of years. So that I've been involved from the very beginning because it affected me personally. We were affected by lives and property being destroyed. It was absolutely horrendous for all of us to conceive that this kind of thing could happen. I remember in 1999 when the big floods hit, it was voted to spend at that time about $50 million on Duck Creek alone because it was so severely hit. And that was a lot of money in those days. I don't know what it would be comparable today, but a lot of money. Today we're going to see, among other things, the effect of what our improvements have done. So it's a very wide scope, and everyone is very glad to be here because, as I say, this is what we have voted on, discussed in our meetings, and what we're going to see now where our decisions have come to fruition. Our decisions with the acceptance of the board of directors.
Duck Creek Watershed has over 50,000 parcels in its watershed. And if everybody did not dispose of their trash properly and everything else, it would pollute Lake Mead. And so when we're out here in the desert and we see dumping in the desert, you can't do that. And we get into the urban area, you got to dispose of your chemicals properly because we want to protect our environment.
As we've been on the CAC tour today, we've seen a lot of detention basins and facilities in the remote edges of town. And what we see along the way, besides the facilities, are people have come along and dumped their trash right in the desert. Now these people have to know that that's illegal. They must obviously know, and they're doing it because it's convenient. All this water flows downstream through town into Las Vegas Wash and Lake Mead, where we get our drinking water. So it's bad, and we would like to see it stop.
Everything in the valley finds its way to the Las Vegas Wash. Duck Creek drains and dumps into Las Vegas Wash by the Silver Bowl, and it all finds its way to Lake Mead, which is our primary source of drinking water. Duck Creek itself is about 160 square miles of watershed within this valley, and is a major wash in that there's homes that we have to protect from flooding and people, but we also have to protect the environment. Since the mid-'80s, I've done over $100 million worth of improvements out here. These improvements aren't just for one storm, they're for many storms, and they're here for generations to come. So this is the structures we're seeing out here, where we have built structures, are there to protect life and property.
You know, I volunteer on 2 different Clark County committees, not just CAC, but the Regional Stakeholders Advisory Committee. And so I find it rewarding and also something that citizens of the United States should do more of.
On the tour, we put the committee to the test. The district staff helped make sure that everyone got an A+.
What is the total drainage area of the Duck Creek Watershed?
The drainage area for the Duck Creek Watershed extends from Las Vegas Wash all the way up to the Spring Mountains. It's a total of about 165 square miles.
What is the elevation drop from the upper Duck Creek down to the Silver Bowl?
The drop in elevation from the upper Duck Creek detention basin to the Duck Creek near the Silver Bowl is about 1,358 feet.
How much has been spent on drainage improvement to the Duck Creek Watershed?
To date, $110 million have been spent by the Regional Flood Control District for improvements for the Duck Creek Watershed.
The committee brings another perspective to make sure the district looks at every angle when planning new flood control facilities. And we'll be back with more right after this.
Hi, hon. How was your day?
I was good. Nothing special. How about you?
Good. Productive?
Good.
Oh, I bought us flood insurance today.
You did what? What do you think we're made of money? I mean, what the heck? Should I just go out and buy a boat and maybe an SUV to pull it around? Oh, okay.
In Clark County, floods can strike at any time, and not just in flood zones. Flooding can cost thousands of dollars in damage, destroying your home and its contents. Do you have flood insurance?
Jess, time for dinner, sweetie.
Oh. What's up? Whoa.
Yeah. Stormwater and anything you spill into the street goes untreated into Lake Mead.
Whoa! Where am I now?
Hey, Mom, my boat. Ew.
Help protect the environment. Brought to you by the Stormwater Quality Management Committee.
I'm Ann, and I won the poster contest